Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. Let's talk about Newsweek. So Newsweek runs an article on the DNC fraud lawsuit. This is good. This is good. It's breaking through mainstream. Now, there is one catch. As I read this article, the article is written from the perspective of, we don't know what happened. I hate that perspective. I don't like this neutral perspective when the information is actually there and available. It's like you're looking at this and somebody says, well, they say 2 + 2 is 4. Well, what do you mean they say? Is it or is it not 4? Like this is clear. This is apparent. It's almost like it's like saying, well, they say Obama was president, but the other people, what do you mean? The other perspective, any other perspective of that is bullshit perspective. Why are you giving it credence? I understand if it's something that's open. I even understand if you want to say, well, the scientists claim climate change is this. They're deniers who are a few percentage who claim X, Y, Z. Fair enough. That's not something I can put my hand on crystal clear. But is this an ink pen or not? It's not. He says it's an ink pen. You can make the case and say, well, it's an ink pen. I'm trying to get at this very specific point of being neutral and saying something when you already know the information. You don't have to be neutral when you actually have the data. It's like, God damn it, man. Yes, this is a desk. It's not. Somebody told me it's a desk. I can look at it and tell it's a goddamn desk. Yes, that's a mouse. Yes, that's a computer. Yes, that's a light. These are actual physical things in reality that you can put your hands on. You don't have to say the other people said it. You can actually say it yourself. If you're talking about this Democratic lawsuit, and you're saying, well, they say the Democratic Party cheated Sanders. You have the leaks. You have the information. You have the data. You can actually see data. There's real data. There's factual information that you yourself can evaluate. Why are you using this passive, neutral tone when you're making this conversation? I hate this passive, neutral tone. That's all. I don't like it. And yes, I'm glad they're talking about it in mainstream news. No, I'm not glad that they're using a neutral tone about something that's actual, provable, and factual. This is not me being a lib or a lefty. You can look at the goddamn data yourself. You can read the emails. You can see the things that Schultz was doing. Not even just that. You can see the things that went on in these primaries. It's like, come on, man. This is fucking ridiculous. Yes, it's mainstream news. They're in a bubble. I get it. They want to be neutral. How are you being neutral when the information is right there presented in front of you? It makes you look ridiculous when you're doing this. It makes it look ridiculous. They say it's snowing outside. Do you know if it's snowing outside or not? Can't you look out the window? Jesus Christ. I'm sorry. I'm slightly still annoyed at that story with what's his name? Bill Maher, when he's having to go at Cornel West. That bugged the shit out of me. I'm still annoyed by that. What is the role of the Democratic National Committee in presidential elections? Is it to sway the vote towards a safe, solid, and respected insider who would supposedly drive the party straight into the White House? Or is it to provide voters with the ultimate decision as to which campaign would take the ballot without a bias or partiality? Good question, right? What is the goal of the Democratic Party? So is the DNC's job to say, we're going to pick this guy and slide this guy on? Or is it the responsibility of the DNC to say, okay, whoever the audience picks, whoever our members pick, is the person who wins? The DNC will probably make the case it's the former, because otherwise you wouldn't have superdelegates. The very existence of superdelegates means it's the first one. You have a situation where the only reason superdelegates would exist if the party itself wanted to make the determination on who wins that election. Meaning, we don't give a shit what the people think. It's our choice. You can say it's a smoke-filled room, you can call it whatever you want. Ultimately, the superdelegates function as if they were in a smoke-filled room and just picking a candidate. Their existence shows that it's the first one. Otherwise, you would have the superdelegates. You just let the people choose who they wanted to choose. So I would make the case that the first one is the point. That is the question at the heart of the class action lawsuit charging the Democratic National Committee with fraud, deceptive conduct, and negligence. And negligent misrepresentation over the course of the 2016 primaries, in which Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders was defeated by former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton for Democratic ticket. Jared Beck, a Harvard law expert and one of the attorneys backing the suit, has demanded the DNC repay its donors and Sanders supporters for the contributions they made throughout the election, citing a misappropriation of public funds. God damn it, he's right. He's right. Here's cash. I am sending this cash because I want that cash, the full representation of that cash, to be expressed in my candidate, Bernie Sanders. Here's my dollar. Here's my $27. Here's whatever I have, because I believe in the vision that that man is talking about for this country. God damn it, I want him to win. I believe in this guy. Here's my money. Would that person have been so adamant about sending that money if the grinning idiot, Deborah Wasserman-Schultz, and Donna Brazile weren't on camera saying, no, it's a fair process. You can send them your money. It's going to get a fair representation. We're not going to rig the rules for our person. That's not going to happen at all. You can send him the money in good faith. Well, they were lying. They were lying. And if they're grinning to me with their fingers crossed behind their back, and I'm sending money thinking that money is going to be fair, impartial, well, no, you've defrauded me. I've sent that money under false pretense. You told me that you were going to be impartial. Your bylaws said you were going to be impartial. Everybody who we talked to, even when they were in the process of rigging things, told me you were being impartial. I sent you my $100. I want my money back. I want my cash back. You took my money under false pretenses. Look, that's a lesser matter than you subverting democracy and getting Trump in that office. But at the very least, on this very basic level, I want my money back. I want my money back. You cheated my guy. He subordinated himself to your particular process, and you rigged that process. It goes beyond the superdelegates. You rigged voting locations. And when I'm saying rigged, I mean like voter suppression techniques. Sanders is going to be in a state that allows open elections or something. Okay, we're going to shut down the number of locations that people can go and vote in these states. Well, that's curious. Why are you doing that? I mean, that's 60% less voting locations than it was in the prior election. It's Bernie Sanders. Certainly, you know he's going to be bringing a lot of people to the polls, so you don't have an excuse to cut down on it, thinking that it's not going to be as big of a turnout. That's curious. In Nevada, when they had that hand vote, and there were clearly more people for Sanders in that room, more people screaming, and yet you gave it to the other party. That's curious. And then say those people were angry and throwing chairs. That's curious, since that never showed up. It's one thing after the next. When Wasserman-Schultz is working with news organizations to undermine Sanders, when they're having those conversations of, hey, make sure you go and talk to the other parties because we don't want to look like we're being unfair. It's one email after the next. Donna Brazile, that crook, giving information from CNN, getting fired from her job for corruption. Embarrassing. But she's not embarrassing enough to not put as the head of the DNC. This is what we're talking about. This is what we're talking about. I'm glad Beck did this. This is goddamn right. It is a misrepresentation of public funds. Article 5, Section 4 of DNC's charter states the organization will operate with total neutrality throughout the course of the Democratic primaries. Court documents reveal the organization's lawyer made a lengthy case suggesting impartiality is nothing more than a political promise. However, even though the defense claimed it did not support any specific campaign over another. This is amazing. Like, imagine the weakness that you're in, where you have to say, well, look, the thing that we said in the charter about neutrality, that's just a political promise. That doesn't mean anything. Political promises are essentially lies. That doesn't mean anything. We can lie. We can say those things. We can say whatever we want. But reserving the right to lie in no way said that we lied in that particular process. That's amazing. That's amazing. Yes, we have the ability to lie, but no, we did not lie in that particular case. But if you find that we did lie in that case, you can't be held responsible for that lie. That's amazing. That's goddamn amazing. That is embarrassing. Then the DNC rigged the election for Hillary Clinton. A class action lawsuit demands retribution for Bernie Sanders supporters who donated his campaign in the Democratic National Committee during the 2016 election. The election, yes, they're right. I want my money back. I want my money back. You guys should pay that $236 million. You should be taken out of your hide. That's what should take place. If the lawsuit gets past a pending motion to dismiss the case, currently under consideration with no specific time frame by a federal judge in Southern Florida, Sanders supporters have a chance of fundamentally shaping how the DNC and the Democratic National Committee conduct their business. And that's important. That's important. You've heard me say the problem often can't be solved at the level of expression. Sometimes you need to go through other means, meaning you can't go directly into the process. They're going around the process. They're attacking them through court. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I think the party should be attacked through court, even through class action. I mean, through what is it called? Trust lawsuit, antitrust laws. I don't know how to do that. I don't know if an individual can do that. But God damn it, these are two corporations. They should be undermined with that. When I say that, what I'm making is these are two monopolies. Ultimately, they're a duopoly. They're blocking other things from getting into the political process. The United States does not allow monopolies. If you have a political monopoly, that's just as bad as having any other monopoly in the business sector, because they are two corporations. Antitrust laws should be applied to those two corporations to break them up. To break them up. You need more parties. You're going to have a hard time getting anything through those particular parties. You need to find somebody, some edifice, some aspect of government, something that can align you with breaking them up. That's what I would do. I would attack them through the law. I don't think it's a hard way to go to try to get your guy through those election process. And yes, they cheated Sanders. You can look at the rigged machines. I would even go so far as to say some of the machines. When those people were standing there, and they were given an evaluation of looking at the machines where they had a paper count, and they were changing the paper count, or they were changing machine tally to match the paper count. That's not a hand count. That's a goddamn lie. That's literally voter fraud. You're essentially changing the results of a hand ballot to match an electronic device that's flawed. Understand, those things can be hacked. It's like you put your vote in. How do you know what happens to your vote? I'm a software engineer. Those things can be hacked. Those things can be hacked. You can make a computer do pretty much anything. Are you telling me that you really trust the machine over a paper ballot? I trust the paper ballot. And you're seeing people looking at this, one person after the next. Lee Camp is in one of Lee Camp's videos. They would come up and say the paper count did not match the electronic total. The electronic total was wrong. There were more votes for Sanders. And they would say, the people would listen to them, and they would say, hey, do you have any experience looking at vote tallies? And the one was like, I'm a PhD. The fuck are you talking about? I'm a person. I watched this tally. I watched them count this. And I watched them change the tally to match the machine vote. That's cheating. That's cheating. That's corruption. All the way through the process. Yes, they rigged it. And yes, they should give people their money back. Because those people were defrauded. Now, the question becomes, what happens if they win this lawsuit? That's the question. That's a fascinating question. Is the Democratic Party going to have to pay back $220 million? Wow. That would be a beautiful day. That would be a goddamn beautiful day. But the progressives should instead focus their efforts on working within the DNC right now to stop the real opponent currently in Washington, rather than hoping a class action lawsuit shifts the way the institution operates in the upcoming midterm elections and general elections in 2020, according to Scott Bolden, a Democratic strategist and former chair of the DNC Democratic Party. That's funny. So a guy who's a chair of the DNC party thinks that progressives should function with the Democratic Party. You can go fuck yourself. You can go fuck yourself. The opponent for liberals, many independents, and conservative Democrats alike, being the Trump administration. Yes, but you're more of a problem. You're more of a problem. I know you like to think that Trump is more of a problem. No, you're more of the problem. Because ultimately, nothing gets done with you in that office. That's the problem that you're fundamentally missing. Even if I get Trump off that office, the shield that you're going to put in that office are not going to get anything done. I want to get stuff done. So, you can understand my dilemma. I don't want Trump in that office, but I also don't want you in that office. So I have no impetus to help you at all in anything that you're doing. If anything that you're doing is not getting progressives in those positions, then I have no help. I have nothing to do with you. I have nothing to do with you. I don't care what you do. I don't care what you say. It is not the responsibility of progressives to work with a party that actively works against progressives. You cheated. Sanders, what are you missing? What are you missing? We put our candidate up. The guy who we wanted to be in that election, the guy who would have won this election. You wouldn't have had Trump in that office if you didn't cheat Sanders. And I'm sick of this goddamn Newsweek article writing in this passive tone as if this is up for debate. This is not up for debate. You can look at the information. What lawyerly language are you going to use to try to disprove the information to which you're presented with? They're making this case. We can lie when we want to lie. We're not saying we lied, but I'm saying we can lie. Bolden, whoever this guy is like, you guys should work within the DNC right now, and you shouldn't have your focus on this case. I mean, the midterms. Fuck the midterms. Fuck the midterms. My conversation is with the DNC and the Democrats. I have nothing to do with Trump. I don't care about Trump. I care about this. I care about this because this is the thing that matters. The vehicle that we are going to use to do anything in this country is going to have to come from the left. I have no power over the right in that sense. There is nothing that I want the right is going to try to articulate. They don't care. They're fulfilling their objectives as being the party for the rich. Let them have their thing. What I'm getting at is this vehicle, this very specific vehicle, wins when it's geared correctly, when the screws are tight, when the wheels are right, when the engine is right. This vehicle wins. This vehicle becomes popular. Anything that I want to change in this country has to go through this particular vehicle, meaning your party. The party needs to be destroyed and rebuilt. If their party is rebuilt and destroyed, then I don't have to worry about Republicans because they're not going to get elected. Sanders would have won. That's the point you're fundamentally missing. You cheated the guy that would have won and ended up with Trump in that office. Trump is not the problem. You are. That's what you're fundamentally missing. You guys want to continuously point to Trump. The Democratic Party, if it was doing what it was supposed to do, would not lose elections to the Republican Party. Period. Period. I don't have to worry about them. I have to worry about you. You are the problem. You had 8 years in that office. Your major accomplishment was passing a right-wing healthcare bill that's falling apart at the seams. Even your claim to killing bin Laden was fraudulent. Ultimately, the Pakistanis told you that bin Laden was there, removed their air force and everything else that allowed you to do that raid. It was just a hit job. Good job. You're a gangster. You murdered some guy in Pakistan. That's awesome. You should have dragged his ass back here and had a trial. Are we a country of laws or not? Are we a country of laws or not? And are you that much of a pussy where you didn't want to bring him to the country because you were scared of a terrorist attack? No. Drag his ass back to America, put his ass in there, and make your case against him. I mean, look, that's a side point. This piece angers me. It's an undermining of democracy. It's an absolute undermining of democracy. And they're continuously acting as if the Republican Party is the problem. The Republican Party is not the problem. The Democratic Party is the problem. You say these things in these tones. You make these arguments as if you're like goddamn FDR. And you get in that office and you're essentially goddamn Ronald Reagan. And you're unclear on why people don't want to vote for your shitty candidate. Bill Maher, Rachel Maddow. These people are absolutely unclear on why people didn't want to put that woman in that office. It's a goddamn failure. You are the problem. You are the problem. It's not Trump. You are the problem. You need to be abolished. You need to be destroyed. I hope this lawsuit burns your ass to the ground because ultimately nothing gets done in the way that you guys are functioning. If this car is fixed, if the screws are tight, the Democratic Party does not have to worry about the Republican Party. Your issue is an issue of policy. It is the issue of what you do in that office and what you don't do in that office. And the fact is, those Trump voters who voted for Obama and went to Trump did so for good reason. If you were doing what you're supposed to be doing, you do not have to worry about the Republican Party. My point is, they are not the problem. They are a fringe group at this point. They are unliked. I know they look powerful at this point, all these positions in office. But ultimately, if you ask people about policy, they're hard on policy. Nobody likes them. The problem is nobody likes you either. They like you less. They like you less because you're saying things that are flowery rhetoric that you don't live up to. So you come across as liars. Do you get that? Do you fundamentally understand that? Eric Dyson, all these people, all these apologists, Al Sharpton, all these people apologizing for the Democratic Party. This guy, hey, those Sanders supporters should work with the Democratic Party. Why? Why? The Republican Party didn't cheat me. You did. You did. You need to pay all these people their money back. That's what it boils down to. And stop begging Sanders supporters for help. You cheated those people. Millions of people left your party for a good reason. I hope millions of those people stay out of your party. Until you fail, nothing takes place. It has nothing to do with the Republican Party. This has everything to do with you. Stop trying to divert attention to them. This is the issue. This is the issue. You need to be retooled and refixed. And once you're refixed, yes, we can have the conversation about Republicans. Until then, no. We're talking about you. Tell me about goddamn Donald Trump. Attorneys for the DNC and its former chairperson, the Congresswoman Deborah Wasserman-Schultz, attempted to dismiss the lawsuit in multiple occasions, occasionally claiming it wasn't properly served by Beck and his team, before stating there are no enforceable obligations for this organization to practice neutrality during the primaries. That may be true, but that has nothing to do with you saying, yes, we're being neutral when people are sending money. They sent that money based on you being neutral. You lying about it means you defrauded those people. Your argument doesn't touch what he's saying in the lawsuit. What if Apple went into court of law and said, we actually don't believe we have any enforceable obligations to our shareholders? Beck said in an interview last week, what do you think will happen to Apple's stock price? That's true. That's true. If Apple comes out and says, yeah, I know we said these things, but we don't really believe these things. I mean, we don't have no laws that are enforceable to our shareholders. We can say whatever we want. Would those shareholders stay with that company? No. They would leave that shit overnight. Meanwhile, strategists like Bolden say the party's best shot at winning back control of the House and Senate in 2018 would be to adapt its approach, engaging with Sanders supporters and working with families who feels underrepresented by the party at the moment. Essentially, they need to tailor their message to be more to Sanders supporters. I don't care about your message. I don't care about your message. I want nothing to do with you. We want nothing to do with you. I don't give a shit about these midterms. You're going to lose in these midterms. I don't care about that. I care about you being out of your seats and getting progressives in those seats. Ideally from another party, but at the very least, progressives in those seats. I need you out of the way for that, meaning I need you to lose. I need you to lose. This has nothing to do with them. This is everything to do with you. I think the Democrats are still trying to win support from Sanders supporters. And whether they've been successful today is an open question. It's not open. No, they haven't. They haven't been successful. I'll speak for them. No, you haven't been successful. You still have this lawsuit. You still have progressive factions who believe Sanders were wrong by the DNC. They don't believe it. They know it. People believe in Jesus. Information is different. When I can look at the information, I can see the information. That they lied and cheated. Hey, tell me, Bolden, what's her name? Why did Deborah Wasserman-Schultz lose her job? Why? Why? Tell me. Explain to me. Why? Was it magic? Did it just happen? Did she just step down for no reason? Why did the other crook, Donna Brazile, get fired from CNN? Explain this to me, Bolden. Explain this to me, Newsweek. Why? Was it magic? Did it just happen? Did she just want to get fired for some reason? Explain to me why. All of these things were leaks to the information based upon cheating. Why did the woman in New York get fired? Explain to me that. The one who lost 100,000 people off the roads. Why did she get fired? What am I missing here? What are you missing here? Is probably the operative question. You have hard data. You have actual information about things that took place. There are real world consequences to the information that was released related to Sanders being cheated. Why are you writing this article in these passive tones? And why are you letting this guy spout this garbage talking about you still have factions who believe in the same way that people believe in Jesus and the Easter Bunny were wronged by the DNC? They were wronged by the DNC. Stop this believe shit. They were wronged. Again, why was Deborah Wasserman-Schultz fired? Why was Donna Brazile fired? Why was the woman in the DNC fired? You have all these real world consequences based upon cheating, and yet they're still perfectly in the dark on whether or not that was cheating. This is amazing to me. This is absolutely aggravating to me. I can't believe this is the shit that goes on for normal news. But at the end of the day, you can't prove you didn't get enough votes to beat Hillary Clinton because of the committee's actions. What you can do now is move forward together. No, we don't have to do that. We don't have to do that. I don't have to do that at all. I have nothing to do with you. I have nothing to do with you. I don't care if you lose in the midterms. I don't care if you lose in 2020. I don't care if you lose in 2022, 2024, foreseeable future. I don't care. That's what you're fundamentally missing. You cheated. And in cheating, you're still having these conversations as if it's some kind of conceptual thing. Yes, I know there were real world consequences, but I'm still unclear of the fact that cheating existed. Even talking about this lawsuit. Hey, this lawsuit is distracting us. there's no us. There's no us. There's you, and there's us in that sense. But that's more of an us and them. But you're not part of us. You're part of them. You're part of them. You're a Democratic operative. Everything that you're saying is talking in response to Democrats. I don't care about your party. I don't care about your party. I want that party burned to the ground. I want this lawsuit to take each and every dime from that particular place where you have to sell your assets to pay all those people back, including myself. That's what I want. That's my wish. That's the thing I dream about at night. I hope this lawsuit burns that party to the ground. Because whether people believe it or not, the problem is not the Republicans. The Republicans are doing what they're supposed to do. They're functioning for the rich. They're kleptocrats. That's what they're supposed to be. Your issue is the Democratic Party. That wasn't supposed to be that way. They weren't supposed to be this way. Meaning they weren't supposed to look like what they look like now. They look fucking ridiculous. And are you serious? Do you really want this clown car of a party trying to do anything, even though they have a track record of doing nothing? They do nothing. They use the term moderate just as a political buzzword to say they're not doing anything. They're stuck in this weird platypus state of not knowing what to be. Yes, we want all this corporate money, but also we have this progressive wing that hates this corporate money. So we're stuck in the middle. We can't really do anything in reality, because ultimately if we do something, we're going to lose our people who are paying us. But at the same token, we need to mouth this stuff to progressives to get them to stay on. Well, we can't promise them anything because we've promised all this stuff to the people who are paying us. So the best thing we can do is say those people are horrible, vote for us. That is Democratic Strategy 101. That's why Democrats look so ridiculous. That's why. They're stuck in this state of needing to please two masters who are completely at odds with one another. If they went with an agenda based on their corporate interests, which for the most part they did, they're losing progressives, which they did. They lost progressives. If they do things for progressives, they're going to lose the corporate agenda, because what the progressives want is essentially what the constituents of their particular society or their country wants. They're stuck in this quagmire state. What they've chosen to is, okay, we'll take the money, we'll do the right-wing stuff, and we'll lie. Republicans, no, they're lying. They know they're hypocrites. So no, they're not going to support them. Democrats are robots. They're ridiculous. So you're going to have a faction that support them. Progressives are not so easily caught. And so you're looking at this situation, it's like, wait a minute, you fucking cheated my guy and you're telling me about Trump. You're the one who cheated me. You're the issue. Our guy would have been in office if you hadn't cheated us. You're the issue. You don't have progressives. You don't have them. You don't have them at all. And you're not going to get them. Not like this. And if that Democratic lawsuit comes out and you lose this case, oh my God, what a day. That's going to be a beautiful day. I would love to see each and everything, every asset that's coming from the Democratic Party to be sold in order to pay those people back. Any and everything that belonged to them sold for defrauding all those people. The destruction of that party. Something else will come up. And something else that comes up, I would hope, is to be a hell of a lot more honest, earnest, and functions with a level of integrity that's far beyond anything the Democratic Party is functioning with. They're an embarrassment to their forefathers. FDR would be rolling in his grave if he saw what the Democratic Party had become. They're embarrassment. Fucking embarrassment. They're literally in court arguing that we have the capacity to lie whenever we want to lie, and you can't hold us to the things that we say. That's just a political promise. It doesn't mean anything. At the same token, at the exact same moment, saying, hey, we're trying to get together with progressives and move forward.